Greetings and salutations, friends. I am New Mithrandir, and today we're back here in Gowry's shack. It could not have escaped your notice at the end of last episode that Gowry was conspicuously absent when Millicent came calling. And I have to wonder, why? Why, oh Gowry, sage Gowry, did you choose to leave when Millicent came seeking you? You claimed to be her adopted father. Surely she would have enjoyed seeing you again, would have been elated to meet with a friendly face after such adversity. And yet, you vanished. Explain yourself, sir.
Thank you kindly for giving the needle to Millicent. Now she too can begin her journey and stare her fate straight in the eye. You've been a saint through and through. As thanks, I vow to impart to you my knowledge of the lost sorceries of the Selians, descendants of the Eternal.
What say you of Millicent and her visit?
Oh, you noticed, did you? Indeed, Millicent did visit this hovel of a home. It seems the memories eaten away by the rotting sickness yet remain, but faintly. However, she has no need of me anymore. No, she must embark on her journey and stare her fate in the eye. I mustn't impede. As I've aged, I've found the best way to aid the young is to be forgotten.
That is a pretty excuse, Gowry. I wonder if the reason you chose not to see her was because you feared what other memories would awaken concerning you. I find it difficult to believe that you have her best interests at heart. But I suppose we shall have to carry on. All I can say now is that her cure, the unalloyed needle, has at least given her the use of her limbs again, what limbs she keeps. Yet the price, well, has yet to be paid, I fear. And now we can buy all of his available sorceries. Have you anything else to say before I depart?
Please make certain that little Millicent goes unharmed. Like her mother, she has the stuff to be a great warrior, but commands only one arm and is yet preciously young.
I see. Her mother. Melania, I presume.
Do you need me for something else?
I was simply hoping that you would slip in conversation and perhaps reveal to me something you did not intend to reveal. But alas, he is not biting. So, now I believe it is past time that we visit Ronnie once again. We've left her for quite some time, after all. And though our intent was initially to aid Roger with his doom, well, my business with Ronnie goes a bit further. I have an interest in her myself, one of the few remaining princesses of the land, and a mighty witch. Who would not be interested in such a woman? So now we find out whether or not her temper is cooled towards me. I wonder what she would actually think, seeing a man bedecked in the armor of Melania's knights coming to pay her a visit. I imagine that it would be somewhat strained. But of course, Ronnie will not acknowledge anything about my garb. She will simply refer to me as a tarnished, if she refers to me at all.
The curse mark thou seekest is not here. That is all I will say. Now, be gone.
Okay. Something else must be done, it seems. So, let's go back to Roger and speak with him. Perhaps that will aid us. Honestly, I'm relatively certain that on most other occasions, I went to Ronnie before beginning Roger's quest. So, I'm actually at something of a loss here.
Always good to see you safe. So, what do you need?
Ronnie cast off her curse mark.
I see. When Rani shed her flesh, she shed the curse mark too. You know, not everyone would trust such a tale. But if she in her current form is nothing more than the living doll you profess, then perhaps it's true after all. Forgive the bluntness of the notion, but how would you like to become one of Rani's vassals? Only in order to get what we want, of course. The location of the body which bore the curse mark, which right now I haven't the faintest. And the best way to find out is for you to enter her service and take a poke around on the sly. I know you've got what it takes. Not only are you a superb fighter, but people want to trust you. I've seen you.
They wish to trust me because I am a source of strength and power that might uplift them if they gain my allegiance. So it is not so much that they trust me as they see a use for me.
Can you become Rani's vassal to advance our agenda? While in her service, you'll be able to take a poke around on the sly and determine the location of her original body that bears the curse mark. I realize that I'm asking you to put yourself in grave danger, but I know you've got what it takes. Quite possibly the only one, in fact.
Well, as it happens, I was intent on joining Ronnie regardless. Still, this is a slightly different slant to things. Yes, in all my previous playthroughs, I made a beeline for Caria Manor and joined Ronnie at once. And so, in all my prior engagements with her, well, I didn't have this underhanded motivation, shall we call it. It certainly makes for an interesting change, though I'm not sure that I prefer it over the more honest reasons that I might otherwise have gone to her. And now Roger has also brought me into his lies. He wishes to save those who live in death, and thus he is opposed to his friend D. hunter of the dead. And he's been lying to Dee in order to conceal their rather stark difference of opinion. And so now he's asking me to lie to Ronnie concerning my motivation for joining her. But let's hope this is advanced far enough to do just that.
The curse mark thou seekest is not here. That is all I will say. Now, be gone.
I wish to serve you. You who aren't an Empyrean. Or who was.
Oh, is that so? Thou wouldst render me aid. Is that thy proposal? Affording thyself opportunity to grope about for the curse mark's location, no doubt. Very well. There's nothing wrong with a well-laid scheme. What's more, if my past and past wounds beckon to thee, I am curious enough to see what thy destiny portends. I'll allow it. Enter my service, and good hunting to thee.
Yes, indeed. I've declared my purpose to seek for the curse mark you bore. And so I suppose there is a measure of honesty in this.
Good. Then I ask we proceed with haste. There is, in my service, a half-wolven warrior by the name of Blythe. I would have thee join him in searching for the hidden treasure of Nokron, the Eternal City. I have called for Blythe to greet thee below. Take from him the particulars. Ah, and there wilt thou find Iji, my war counselor, and Salavis, preceptor in the sorcerous arts also. Heed not their peculiarities. Feel secure in gaining from them what advantage thou canst. I am sure the others will be doing just the same.
I shall do as you bid, Ronnie. However, I cannot promise to overlook Seluvis. His peculiarity is best defined as depravity, and I will not brook it any longer than I must. He is your servant, and for that reason alone, he will keep his head for the time being. Yet, when his loyalty comes to an end, then so too shall his life be forfeit. Hail to thee, E.G., War Counselor.
Oh, so you were the one. Lady Rani has explained everything. Again, I am Iji, the Karian royal family's dedicated blacksmith and Lady Rani's war counselor. I'm told that you are searching for Nokron with Blythe. I will give you whatever guidance I can, and pray for your success.
I thank you.
My apologies for the misleading words of warning. I never imagined that an audience, let alone service to Lady Rani, was in your fate. I, for one, should have seen it, but I did not. Do forgive me, my fellow. Let us give all that we can of ourselves, together, for Lady Rani.
I forgive you for your part, Ichi. It is difficult to be trusting in these days. So I forgive you completely. And besides, at worst you might have been said to have lied by omission. But in word you spoke only the truth. You told me you were a smith who served the Karian royals. And that you did and are. So, there is no grievance between us. Ah, and Blythe. Good to see that you are well, and that Darrowell did not bite deep.
Long time, friend. Blythe. Have you forgotten? Glad to have you in the service of Mistress Rani. Well, getting right to business. I'm still in Limgrave. The eternal city of Nokron lies somewhere at the bottom of this land. I'm planning to go below through the well in the Mistwood. See if I can't find the road to Nokron from there.
Very well.
I'm going below through the well in the Mistwood. See if I can't find the road to Nokron. Don't keep me waiting.
Fear not.
Eh?
I head there presently. Though first I must speak to your final ally. Talisman indeed. And that, mind you, is another reason I will not slay Silvus at once. For alas, he is the only one who can give me the Scorpion Talisman, the magic Scorpion Talisman, which is invaluable for a sorcerer. Quite the pity, that I have to endure him for so very long.
I see. You must be Rani's new hireling. Yes, I've heard all about you. I am Selvis, preceptor in the sorcerous arts. I don't know what it is the mistress sees in a provincial tarnished like you, but since we have the misfortune of serving the same lady, I ask that you kindly try not to drag us all down with you.
You calling me provincial. And speaking of dragging down, you are a blot upon the honor of her house.
I reside in another tower close by. Come and pay me a visit. Should you wish to be of actual service to Mistress Rani. If it were up to me, I wouldn't waste my time on the likes of you. But who am I to stand against the wishes of my lady?
Indeed.
I reside. Come and pay. Should you? If it were
Yes.
up to but who am
I will visit you at once, Silvus. Oh. Oh dear. Looks like I'm going to have to talk to Rani again before I leave. My mistake. We'll talk to E.G. one last time, just to be sure.
Let us give all that we can of ourselves, together, for Lady Rani.
Very well. Does resting at the Grace end the meeting? Yes, it does. I wonder, does Rani have anything else to say, now that we are in her service? Well, we shall find out presently. As I said, I'd respect E.G. for his service and Blythe his devotion. Silvus, by sharp contrast, I would slay if I could. So the answer is no. Rani has nothing more to say to us. And indeed, she seems either to be asleep, as much as she ever does sleep in that form, or perhaps her mind is elsewhere. After all, the very premise of what she has become, a disembodied soul clinging to a doll, by default leaves open the notion that she would be able to shift to another place and perhaps another time even. Well, time to go and visit Celibus. Depraved as he still is a preceptor, with great knowledge of magic, of the glintstone variety, the very sort that I practice. And so we do indeed have use for him. Otherwise, after having discovered his den, shall we call it? Well, I wouldn't put up with him. But there is an item up here, I believe. Yes. Another all-important memory stone. We can now slot in an additional spell. And that in itself is most useful. And we have an item. The Black Wolf Mask. I didn't actually know that was here this early. I believed that we had to advance a fair bit further to see this. A mask fashioned after the head of a black wolf, relic of an assassin who assumed the guise of Rani the Witch's loyal shadow. The likeness is striking. Yes, it does look like Blyde. Unfortunately, doesn't fit with our outfit quite so well. And more importantly, it over-encumbers me.
Well, you took me at my word. Did you not realize I was merely being polite? Oh, you provincials never cease to amaze. I suppose you're here now. Perhaps I'll give you something to do. I'd like you to find a woman called Nefeli to administer a potion. Even you can do that much, can't you?
Straight away, you drag me down into the muck beside you. I will take up this task, not to serve you. I have another idea in mind for that potion of yours.
Good. Now I shall hand over the potion in question. Find Nefeli and ensure she drinks it. I expect glad tidings, and soon.
I won't be using that potion anytime soon, Celibus.
I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is a report of your task's completion. Are we understood? Then off you trot. I have enough on my plate.
I see.
I've no time. The only thing are we understood? I have enough.
Wretched fool. Well, it's going to be a long time before you get what you deserve. So, now, we're off to the Mistwood. This place here. The well. And this will be the second time that we visit the world beneath. An entire dominion hidden away beneath the lands between. Truly an awe-inspiring sight the first time you see it. But alas, we have a little bit of traveling to do before we reach it. We'll see if we find anything interesting along the way. Let's hope we can avoid the rune bears while we're out here. I truly do not enjoy fighting those things. But it seems we've made it to our objective without incident. Oh. Huh? What now? Oh. And now the mist is gone. I wonder what that was about. Did they simply not load in? Well, no matter, I suppose. My oh my, but this is becoming a long elevator, isn't it? And now you see it. Just a glimpse so far. There we go. The world below and its stars. Truly a marvel. And we begin low. Low in relative terms. Hardly the deepest place within the world beneath, but still a fair distance from those lofty heights we see from here. Now then, alas, we're not allowed to use torrent in these locations. At least, not right here. Oh, I spoke too soon. Melted mushrooms. Let's see. Well, let's go on a gathering tour, shall we? Let's see. That looks like Glovewort. Ah, Ghost Glovewort 1. I can finally go to Rodrika and ascend Latena. Yes, so it was a trip down to these parts that I was wanting. Praise indeed. Alright, now let's go down the straight path. The one that you would have been expected to travel initially. As you see there, we'd have some people wandering this locale who are still kitted out in the starter gear. As this is from Limgrave, after all. It was rather easy to get here early. Okay. Yep, can't stagger these guys, at least not with this weapon. My weapon doesn't bounce, but it also doesn't cleave all that well. So, let's change up our gear a little. We'll swap to something light, I think. That's 38. We'll go back to the perfumer set. Yep, I took too long and they managed to catch up with me. Let's see. There we go. Now let's see if we can stagger them. Nope. Even a two-handed swing from a colossal weapon won't stagger them. Okay, that's a little hard to read. Am I staggering you with that hit, or are you just jumping away to avoid a subsequent hit? A little hard to tell, honestly. Quite the place you managed to build down here, whoever did this. Oh, we will be learning far more about the origin of this place and of Nokron, the Eternal City. But that's a bit ahead of us just yet. Yeah, it seems to me like they're jumping back after I whack them from a jumping leap. Not because I've staggered them, but because they just seem programmed to do that. Ah. Now here we have a clay sorcerer. Ooh, no you don't. Just how slow they are is actually something of an advantage. Because you don't think of things moving slow like that. Roll away. Ow. It is rather annoying just how durable these guys are. Ay. Well, that seems to have got rid of a good chunk of them. Although now, I think I'm actually going to swap back to the Moon Veil for the moment. I'll keep my current armor, I think. Well, I did kinda like the aesthetic of the Clean Rot set. It is not my favorite set. It doesn't really have a cape, after all. The cape you saw on it was just the hood. The red hood that I'm still wearing, the crimson hood. Then we have more Glovewort and Ghost 1. Excellent. Now I'll be able to upgrade more than one special ash if I choose to. And here we have a trap. The Claymen playing dead to lure me in. Too bad for them that they're so slow that their little trap is an abject failure. The only way I would be caught by it would be if I chose to stay and fight them. Well, at present, I have no reason to do so. Frankly, I didn't have to fight all of the others back in the center ruins. However, I simply felt like it. Felt like demonstrating how one might go about fighting them. And their rather annoying use of poise. Budding horn. There's also an item that we saw on the top of the broken statue. And I'm intent on claiming it if I can. As I don't quite remember where to go to claim it. Although this is beginning to look promising as routes to my objective are concerned. Do I miss? No, I do not. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Let's test. Okay, that does stagger, but it takes 2 hits to kill. So, not ideal. No item ahead, they claim. Yeah, looking out that way. Yeah, I'll go and check anyway. I highly doubt there's anything of true worth out this way. Still no Elden Ring, indeed. Oh well. A delay of a few seconds, here or there, means nothing. Now... Ooh, there's a sorcery on offer here. So, let's begin by jumping to this ledge. Can I hit you and kill you with one of my sorceries? Yes, I can. Wonderful. Oracle Bubbles. Not exactly a brilliant sorcery, but oh well. Silver Pickled Foul Foot. I'd forgotten how lackluster some of the rewards could be this low level. Oh well. At least we did also get that spell for what it's worth. Not very much, actually, but... well... expanding our repertoire and at least completing the collection is worth something. We have a river. So, let's first go this way. An item used to cleanse scarlet rot. Those will be invaluable against certain enemies later on. And they can be quite useful for dealing with the Ionian swamp too, if you're having trouble there. Although I personally do not recommend making use of them there. Waste of a flask. Right. We get monoliths down here. And more glovewort. Of Ghost 1 variety. Now, most definitively, grab the grace here. Because this is a rather large area. And I will also rest. I didn't burn through many of my resources. Most of my flasks remain intact. But it does not pay to be careless. No matter how easy it may seem, they can and will throw curveballs at you. And that's one brazier lit. 7 to go. Fortunately, I do remember this relatively well. And now we have our map. More beast shamans. You're going to have to hit a lot harder than that to be rid of me. Now then... Is there an item here, yes. Inverted Hawk Heater Shield. Helpful. Though hardly necessary. Now, I will be going around and lighting all those braziers, and I will possibly end today's episode with our battle with the spirit that they summon. But we'll see. This is already running a bit on the long side. So I might choose to end it sometime before we get there, unfortunately. But we shall see how quickly this can all be managed. Oh, I'm well aware that you can poise your way straight through my attacks and whack me one. Makes these guys actually rather annoying. As if by chance you forget for half a second that that's how they work. This can be painful. Oh, and giant crab to deal with too. And ball lightning, which will endeavor to murder you if you're not careful. And by not careful, I mean simply walking a little too close for their liking. I wouldn't mind getting some weapons and armor off of these fellows. Yep, too slow. Trina's lilies. And the identity of Saint Trina. That's an entire other can of worms, but we're not touching on that yet. No. As I said before, I do not have all the items in my inventory, nor have we faced all bosses yet. And so, we will be holding off on doing any major lore dives. Part of the purpose of this whole run, after all, is to get me back into this world and game. And a part of that is going to be relearning everything. Finding all of the juicy details again. And I shan't be turning to anyone's wisdom but my own in this regard. And yes, that does mean that I won't be looking any of it up on YouTube. I will purely be going on my own observations, as I've always done. I will say, for the lore enthusiast community, and their many content creators, that it was in fact one such lore enthusiast that got me into the Souls series to begin with, back during the days of Dark Souls 1. And that enthusiast was Epic Namebro. His lore series on Dark Souls 1 was some of the best content on YouTube concerning the Souls games. And I admit, I do miss his content. I looked for it recently, some of his older stuff, but it's simply gone now. Which I do hold to be a crying shame. He was very insightful. But now returning to the matters at hand, Blythe. Well, we can see quite the palace illumined up there. But how do we reach it?
Ah. Good to see you. Apologies, mate. But I don't have much to report. I can see bloody Nokron right above me. But I'm absolutely stumped. I've tried all the gateways, to no avail. Perhaps it's time to ask Celevis. I recall that spiteful little rat acting like he knew something. Let's give him a squeeze. Show him just how sharp my teeth are.
I quite like your phrasing of that, Blythe. And we'll do just that soon. But first, now that I'm in a new locale, I do have to explore. Ghost Glovewort 3. So now I can get Lieutenant from level 1 to level 3. Excellent. Now, there's a Crucible Knight all the way out there. But, alas, we can't reach him from here. We will have to find another road to take us there. And speaking of other roads, we have a most treacherous little climb to do now. Let's find out if I've made a mistake. So far so good. Ooh. That fall lasted just long enough for me to get a bit anxious. But thankfully, we came out alive. And we can also use that little jump to get up here. Although it doesn't seem to have been worth doing. No matter. Now, let's go and light the remainder of the braziers. And slay our beastly enemy here. For raiment. Yes, we really are dealing with beasts. Much too slow on the uptake there. All three of you were felled before you even truly reacted to me. And there's another brazier, and one of their contemptible archers. Alright. Another brazier lit. On to the next. Yep, I see what I mean about forgetting that these guys just poise through everything. It was a minor error, but it still cost me. And I did it again. They have a surprising amount of forward momentum when they start swinging at you. Now, this one. No, you're not firing that glowy nonsense at me. And we have a portal. This one, alas, is going to take us to a far too distant location. There's a couple different portals here. Two that take us to places within this valley, within Siofra River. But that one, I believe, would take us a fair distance from here. Fortunately, once they're done spewing lightning, they have the good grace to simply die and leave you in peace. And speaking of grace, here we have another. I'm not going to activate it just yet, however. Or rather, not going to sleep at it. Because I would rather not have all of these creatures coming back on me. Okay. I just got a flask refill. And that bastard managed to waste it most expertly. And I suppose I should say that he managed to make me waste it. Ghost Level 2. Already had a little of that. but always useful to have more. Ah, yes. More of these flowers. Yeah. Not worth it to fight them, usually. There's an item hidden up there to get. But we can't reach it from down here. Come on, there we go. Now run around the land octopus. Going to look in the nooks and crannies. See if I can't find all the hidden goodies, of which there are several in this place. So next, go into the shack for a moment, and then head upwards. Oh, and yet more of these beasts. Can I get round? Yes, I can. Backstabbing them removes the possibility of them managing their poise maneuvers. Though it doesn't stop them annoying me all the same. There's another less than appetizing item. But from there, we have a secret path. Well, secret, kind of. You can see it from below, but only if you're paying attention will you notice the connection. And this does go quite a ways. Leads to this nice little camp over here. And then down here. This is the item we spotted earlier. And here, we have a merchant playing a nice little bit of music. Let's hope that flower can't hit us here.
Oh, a customer.
I am indeed. You have soap. 3 stone sword keys and a larval tear. Oh well, looks like we cleared him out.
Goodbye. Till next time.
I'm afraid there might not be a next time, friend. You are in a rather awkward spot to get to. Nowhere near any site of grace, and hidden away behind a somewhat annoying little side trek. But now that we've visited with him, we'll carry on this way. Ah, and there's the brazier we've already lit. There should be at least one more brazier out this way. We're leaving the primary section of the ruins and heading into a more sparse area, a bit more foresty. I do have to wonder how they managed to keep all of these trees and things alive down here. They're all stamping. For what cause, I know not. And truthfully, I don't care what their purpose is. They are quite simply in my way. And I would rather they not be in my way any longer. If they would leave me alone, then there would be no need for violence. But all of them and their friends have been attacking me from the moment I came down here. And so all hope of peace is gone. And I blame them wholeheartedly for it. Square off. It looks like the stance you enter when you make use of the Sword of Night and Flame. Enter that pose and then choose whether you wish to inflict sorcery or fire on the enemy. And here, you see one of the portals. If we used this, we would be teleported close to the first grace of the river, and close to the temple where the spirit houses. The Temple of the Stairs, where all of the brazier torches are being lit. That is most annoying of you, you little varmints. How much damage do you do? And it does gall me as well, the simple fact that I can't kill the rats down here with one hit. Well, that's HP scaling for you. Ay ay. And on the subject of unkillable rats, here we have a proper ginormous one. And some more stompers. Very ill-considered move, my friend. And that's yet another brazier. Ah, that was the last of them, too. The power finally gathers. But, having come all this way, we're going to continue just a little further. Oh. Well, that's what I get for spacing out and looking at the scenery for a... No. I refuse to be murdered here, you bastards. I look like a bloody pincushion. Yeah, but I thought I saw you. Ugh. Trading hits. Ugh. Now for you. Fill me with arrows, will you? That's what I say to that. Ah, and we found a grace. Well, I believe I will rest at this one. Because if I'm going back to face the spirit, I'm going to be fast traveling back there anyway. Meaning that I might as well move with some safety here. Clarifying horn charm. Ah, more glovewort. Ghost 3. Yep, until I at least had Ghost 1, it was kind of pointless to do much of anything else, because I could not level up Latenna without the first level. Now, there was a stone sword key goblin here, right next to an elevator. And if we look at the map, we're all the way out here in Siofra. But look where that puts us, roughly. That leaves us almost smack dab in Caelid. So, wanna guess exactly where we're going to be when we reach the surface? Ooh. Everything became invisible on me for a second. So, as you can see, we are here in the middle of Caelid. And, as it happens, this is the path that will lead us here to the gigantic jar we saw from the minor Erdtree. However, I am not going on that trip today. Bloody hell, that... that is a horrendous gauntlet. Not only are there giant archers firing magically imbued arrows on that road, but then you don't fight the jar himself, oh no. Instead, you fight 3 red phantoms, all armed with exceptionally powerful weapons. Each one of those guys is an ordeal to fight, and they expect you to fight all 3 of them, one after another. And there's no grace anywhere nearby. So you only have what resources you bring with you in the first place. And with how hard those bastards hit, well, you'll be in for it. I'll just put it like that. We'll get to them eventually, but yeah, no, I'm sparing my sanity and not dealing with that until much, much later. I intend to have a +10 weapon on me before I attempt that. And I can tell you right now, the +10 is not going to be the Moonveil. This sword has been useful, but it is not my favorite. No. That... Well, perhaps you've already guessed, considering, well, that I'm a mage, and I've just entered Ronnie's service. For all of you who are familiar, those 2 details ought to be more than enough for you to guess what my favorite sword is. And frankly, it's been a favorite of mine for most of the series. Not just Elden Ring, but Dark Souls 1, 2, 3 to some extent. But I will say it was my absolute favorite weapon in Bloodborne. I loved the sword in that game. But I won't spoil that any further. or delve overmuch into what I thought concerning the previous owner of the sword in that game. Now then, we found a few goodies and secrets. So now, let's return to the first grace and confront the ancestral spirit. That, I think, will be an adequate way to conclude today's episode. Alright. Actually, before I go fight it, let's actually go to Roderica and level up Latenna's Spirit Ash. There are other ashes that will be most useful, and indeed some that will be far stronger than Latenna. But I feel, from a story perspective, that I really ought to use Latenna's aid. And at least a few times bring her into my struggles. And besides, I have 3 of each Ghost Glovewort, rather. So I could level up all 3 of the special ashes that I currently have. But just leveling Latenna for now will do fine. Now, back to Siofra River. Yes, following Latenna's quest line is relatively easy once you've actually found her. And to be fair, your destination, where she asks you to take her, will also lead you to many other secrets, well worth the trip in of themselves. So, it's only fitting that I make full use of her and her services, if only to bring a constant reminder of the overall goal. Where we shall end, shall we say. Horned remains. Answer me. And we've wound up in darkness. And we have a stake of Marika, so that we may return. Hopefully we won't be needing Marika's assistance. But we shall see. Now, visually, this is a stunning engagement. It's almost a pity how quickly this is going. Oh, ow. I suppose if he manages to kill me, I will get my wish of this lasting longer. But, no. I'm afraid that he simply won't manage to live that long. Oh well. Now to find the way out. Ah, there it is. And here, I believe, I will leave you all. A bit drear, I suppose, but, well, next time, we'll be picking up with Blythe, interrogating Seluvis, to see what exactly he's withholding from us. But that's for next time. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a good day.